Peace and blessings to you all. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for stopping by to our little book club right here. Book club, BMG book club. Here's another chapter on their way, but just want to thank you all for stopping by. Let me get a little sound check real quick. Hope you guys had a blessed day today. Hope you guys got your church in. Spend some time with your family. Got some rest before you go back to work. All is well. Doing good with your health. And yeah, this is the BMG Big Money Club book club. This is reading Bedros Keuilian's book called Man Up. And if you don't know, this is a self-improvement channel. It's all about getting better. It's all about striving to be a better leader, learning tips and tricks from people who've already made it before us, so that we can improve ourselves, whether it be leadership in your family, leadership in your ministry, your business, whatever it is that you're up to. So thank you for being here. We have a packed chapter today, super packed. This is chapter 11. What a chapter, guys. Chapter 11 is called Coming Out of a Crisis. Right, so what a chapter. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Today's chapter, Coming Out of a Crisis. And what a time to be talking about this, because there's a lot of people that are in crisis right now. Hope you're doing well through all this crazy times. Hope you got your head on right. And I hope you're motivated. Hope you're finding things to motivate you, to keep you going. Read the Word of God, or read something that'll keep you going, something to help you deal with the times that we're in. Anyways, this is David Meni. Welcome again, guys. We're going to jump into it. Chapter 11 is about coming out of a crisis. And just to kind of sum up last week's chapter, chapter 10 was called Beside Your Own, Whose Life Are You Going to Change? And again, this is I primarily started this as a entrepreneur type channel, help business owners out there, but I really want to talk to leadership of all kinds. And there are forms of leadership everywhere you go, not just in business. Leadership, I believe, is one of the things. Anyone would say this. Leadership is necessary to guarantee the success of our next generation, of the next wave of people coming in. And when it comes to leadership, there's a lot of things that I feel that kind of got away from these days. I think times have definitely changed things. But here we strive to get better, not just to become rich. A lot of people misunderstand my channel, and they see the channel that, again, they think it's all about money, because the channel is called Big Money. It's not about getting rich for us. It's not so that we can get that Bugatti, Ferrari, whatever. It's about helping people. It's about changing lives, making an impact. It's becoming successful so that you can help others. You get more reach, you get more impact, right? And so that's what this is about. Now, chapter 11, again, this is Bedros Keuilian, is the founder, CEO of the Fit Body Boot Camp. If you don't know, you probably, or some of you know his gyms. They're all over the place. Maybe a lot of the gyms that you go to out there, for those of you who are, super into getting fit, which, I got to get that. I got to work on that. But you might have been to one of his gyms, or to a gym that is being mentored by him. So he's probably touched your life in a certain, in one way or another. You just don't know. But he's a great mind for business and has a great mind for leadership. And I'm starting to really wow. If you follow the channel, I'm a big fan of what he talks about. Anyways, let's get into this, guys. Chapter 11, Coming Out of a Crisis. All right, so it talks about 2009, right after the big meltdown of the economy. He was in a bit of a tiff, if you will, because there were things going on, and there was crisis 2007, 2008, the big crash of the economy. A lot of people got fired. I was one of the people that got let go from management in the airport, and they took this excuse that I was just they had to make cutbacks, and since I was the youngest one at 19 years old, I was a victim of that. So they offered me a position to come back as a lead, step down from leadership. So I felt this hurt, you know what I mean? Finally got my salary and getting management payment as a 19-year-old in that industry. That was a bit of a feat right there. So I felt that loss, right? I wasn't a homeowner or anything, you know, still not, but I wasn't a homeowner or anything that lost the value, which he talks about here. So anyway, he buys $1 million home, right? And let's get into it. So he says, in this depression, out of this desperation of this meltdown of the economy in 2009, Fit Body Bootcamp was born out of a crisis. As luck or recklessness would have it, in September 2007, before the economic crash, he and his wife bought a house and a large property. They just bought $1 million home by basically giving their word. Now, there was a small window where you could just state your income and get property. They just take your word, and he said that based on their word, that they said they could make that much money to make the payments on this house, they were given this house with a very expensive mortgage every month, right? So a few months later, the economy crashed, and overnight the value of their home was almost cut in half. Yet another oh snap moment in my entrepreneurial career. Now, he doesn't say snap, he says something else, but I'm made a decision today, and I'm gonna try not to curse, so change some words around here. All right, so on top of that, they got this $1 million house that they can't really afford. And then the day that they move in, their second child, Chloe, was born. So if you can imagine, we got kids, that's a big deal. It's a pretty big deal. Your kid was born. So the fear and anxiety fell in. And there he was, an owner of a brand new, beautiful home on a manicured 1-acre property in Southern California, with a stay-at-home wife, a 2-year-old son, a newborn daughter. The entire economy was crashing down all around them, and he said he was losing his coaching and consulting clients like Milli Vanilli lost fans. On that note, nice little segue right there. Let me get a sound check. Alright, you guys, apologize about getting this sound check. One of the things about going live is that you got to get a sound check every now and then. Make sure the background music that we spent a lot of time on and all that is coming through. Anyways, so here he was with a crisis at hand, right? New kid, a young kid, stay-at-home wife, so he's the source of income. And the business is hurting because of the economy, something that is completely out of our hands, which we can relate to now because times are real, right? And so the fear and anxiety sets in those times of crisis. And so after a financial meltdown, there wasn't a lot of people hiring personal trainers. And of course, fewer people had hired personal trainers. There's a lot of personal trainers that start to go out of business. And when they go out of business, they don't pay Bedros for the business consulting and the business coaching, right? There was a problem. And so just like everybody else in 2007 and 2008, nobody was expecting, no one was expecting the economic crash, right? Anyways, so expenses were higher than ever, right? And taking on the big mortgage, the family, they had no idea how to recover from this storm, pretty much. And by this point, he had no experience. He says, I have experienced several entrepreneurial ups and downs. So by this time, in this time where this crisis is set, and here he is within another storm. But I love what he says right here, that he's had the experience, right? Several entrepreneurial ups and downs. So I was better prepared to handle this battle ahead of me. And that's a testament to all of us, right? Those of us that are still working on whatever project you're working on, whether it's your business or development in your health or whatever it is you're working on, you got to look back at your battles that you've won. Look back at the battles that you've won. And when you're able to look back and see what God has brought you through, you'll be able to look at your storm now and say, you know what? I've been through that. I've been through this. I've been through this. It's like David, when David beat Goliath or had to face Goliath. Remember, David's already had the experience of beating the bear, beating the lion. And so here he is against the giant. Everybody was cowering before the giant. But the attitude that David had was that, you know what? I've already done this. I've already done that. God is definitely going to get me through this one. That giant's coming down. So here is Bedros looking at the situation. He said, because of the ups and downs that I've been through, I was better prepared to handle this battle ahead of me. All right, that's awesome. So I was now convinced that we can build entrepreneurial resiliency like we can build our muscles. That's huge. So resiliency is really the name of the game. And being a person who's in business in 8 years, seeing ups and downs, you have to let that. There's someone that said, don't confuse success for. He said, don't confuse. What's the word? Survival for success. Just because you survive doesn't mean you're successful. And part of that is true. However, what you can get from survival, meaning you've gone through some battles, is you learn what not to do next time. You gain a certain resiliency. Right? I believe I spelled resiliency wrong right there. But the way he looks at this is it's just like building muscles. Muscles you tear down in order to build up. When you work out, when you're lifting heavy, you're tearing the muscles down so they can grow back and bigger, stronger, longer, leaner. Right. And so he says that he's convinced that in business and all entrepreneurial facets and all areas of where leadership is required or where you're building something, there's resiliency that can come just from in the same manner as that which you would build muscles. So as the economy crashed, he says, I could either react by panicking. I love this. I learned this from my coach too. And I like the way Bedros puts it. I could either react by panicking, allowing my emotions to get the best of me, and letting the world consume me, let the whole thing consume my thoughts, which would only lead to inaction, meaning not taking action, or fear-based decisions, making decisions based on emotion, like fear. Or I could respond to the situation with clarity and confidence. After all, I wasn't the only one going through this economic crash. Surely there had to be other entrepreneurs who had risked it all and had given all for their families, put it all on the line like I did. And I remember thinking to myself, I am not alone and I can get through this. But I have to make some hard decisions and act on them quickly. Let me stop there. Breaking on myself. Let me stop there. I love what he said. Okay, talking about resiliency here. There's a decision that comes when you're in hardship. There's a decision that comes when you are facing a battle, a storm. It's I could react or I could respond. Right? The words of Martin Munoz. Oh, by the way, happy birthday to Sister Aya. If you watch this video, God bless you, sis. Love you guys. And thank you for being blessed. Just want to throw that out there. Happy birthday. Big 4-0. What a blessing. I'll be there soon. It's coming right around here. Anyway, when you find yourself looking at the face of a storm, you can react or you can respond. And he said, I can react by panicking. And this is how people react. They panic. Things happen. They feel like they got to make a snap decision right away, but that's not necessarily the best thing for you to do because you're still in your emotion. You never want to make a decision while you're in your emotions. I've been there. And more than not, you're going to regret those decisions. You never want to react. Don't react. Reacting is making a decision based on your emotion, which comes and goes, and is a reactive, conduit to you, and based on things outside of you. You do not want to make a decision based on those things. So he says, I could react by allowing emotions to get the best of me and letting the whole thing consume my thoughts, which is exactly what happens. All you're thinking about is this problem, and you don't want that to lead you, right? Because it's going to lead to inaction, meaning you're going to take power and not make a decision, or you're going to make decisions based on fear. And he says, I can do that, or I can respond to the situation with clarity and confidence. I love how he puts that. You got to be clear and concise on what you're going to do next when you face the storm. After all, I wasn't the only one through the economic crash. So he's saying to take time to be confident and be clear about what it is that you're going to do about the situation so that you can make the right decision. It'll be the most effective one. It'll cost less time. There's going to be less risk. You're definitely going to be making a better decision. At the same time, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time, because he says here, decisiveness and speed of implementation. That should have been one of the words of the day. I got two for you today. Implementation, that's pretty simple. So implementation, right? So it's pretty much coming up with with an action, with a response, and respond to the situation, right? And so he says decisiveness and speed of implementation were going to be more valuable for the survival of my business, my home, and my sanity. He says, I'm not the only one doing this, and I have to make some hard decisions and act on them quickly. When we say quickly, we don't mean just go ahead and start making decisions without thinking about it. Make sure there's some thought behind it. Make sure that you know what you're doing, all right? And then act on it as quickly as possible, as safe as possible. This comes with, there's a fine balance, and you might say, well, what am I supposed to do? Make a decision now, or what are you saying? It comes with experience. This is where the resiliency comes in. You're gonna have to go through some battles in order to get this right? And so, calling to maturity here. This is where the idea was born to start Fit Body Bootcamp. Right, so he's talking about the origins of his business, his most successful product that got him to where he's at today, very successful entrepreneur. This is where the idea was born to start Fit Body Bootcamp. Most of the personal training industry was mainly offering one-on-one personal training, and you can expect to pay $500 a month to train with these people a couple times a week, up to $1,500 a month for 4 or 5 days per week. One-on-one personal training was cost prohibitive, right? And there it is. Our first word of the day, guys, cost prohibitive, right? So if you don't know what word of the day is, the word of the day is based on the show that I watch called Cheers, right? And when I watch Cheers, the language that they speak, guys, it's English, but these guys are speaking a different kind of English. I'm looking at these words like, what is that? What is that word that she just said? And why does no one look confused? So, I started this document writing down words that I did not understand from Cheers, which is one of my favorite shows. And they just speak in a different type of English, big words that maybe only college professors will speak or use in their common language today, or other intellectuals. But anyway, every time I come across a word that I feel like I should really look this word up and gain this, understand what this word means, and I write down this word. And so I started this thing on my last video called the word of the day. So here it is. First one today is cost prohibitive. All right. So what this means is pretty much the cost of it prohibits you from buying it. I mean, it's too expensive. That's all we're saying. It's too expensive. The cost of a nursing home is prohibitive. Fees are prohibitively expensive. Prohibitive costs fees, rates, green groups have all been unable to challenge instances of pollution in court because of prohibitive costs. He'd like to use locally grown cottonseed or peanuts to create biofuel, but prices remain prohibitive. Cost prohibitive. Another way to use these in sentences: the cost of land in Tokyo is prohibitive. The cost of private treatment can be prohibitive. The price of property in the city is prohibitive. You guys get the point. Anyways, all it means is that the price is too expensive for you to buy, prohibiting you from purchasing it. That's all that is. So, congratulations. First word of the day. Hope you write that down and implement that into your language. As we're here to get better. All right, this is a self-improvement channel. All right, for most people, after the 2008 economic crash, the bootcamp model made sense because it made working with personal trainers much more affordable and convenient. There was strength and fun in numbers, and instead of a one-on-one personal trainer and one client taking up the whole hour, you get a bootcamp model that I thought up would be one coach and 15 of 30 clients working out together in that same hour. Now, there's one right down the street from me. There's one right around my mom's house. There's another one down the street. You might have been to some classes like this. You know, there's a bunch of you working with a fitness trainer at the same time. I don't know what's going on with this. Hopefully, the channel is broadcasting through. But we gotta press on, though. Very good. Here it is again. Cost prohibitive. The word of the day. And he says, I knew I was onto something big, right? And that this was going to change the fitness industry. Right? And so for those of you who are looking for that business venture or looking to, making a decision on what's going to be your next phase for you, if you know deep down that it's for you, go after it, guys. You know what I mean? So the model for Big Money Boot Camp made sense. And the thing is, the model made sense for everyone. It allowed personal trainers to increase what they could make. It allowed people to make. Let me skip to all this. Pretty much, he had a better idea when it came to having a personal fitness trainer. Right? So his business was consulting fitness trainers. Now he has this idea of let's have a class and work with a few different personal trainers at the same time instead of a one-on-one thing. And it made things more affordable, convenient, and mainstream. Right? So he had this great idea and he went after it. And he knew that it would revolutionize the industry if he could prove that it would work. Right? So franchising the business would mean maximizing my impact to give as many people as I could the opportunity to become fit and grow a business that they would be proud of. He says, I was stoked. This was my calling. This became my purpose. All I had to do was figure out how to turn a business idea into a global franchise. I'm stopping here because when you have a calling, when you have a purpose, man, you just gotta roll with it. Just step out on faith. If you have a purpose and there's enactment, you don't act on that. It's one of the saddest things, I believe. I think it's one of the saddest things. For you to have a purpose and you don't take a chance on yourself and make a move. There's people that are dependent on that. There's people that are waiting for the next big thing. There's people that are waiting for someone like you to step up and go after that purpose, that calling, so that they can follow you. Maybe you might have what they're looking for, or maybe they want to invest in someone like you. I'm just saying. And another thing, when you have a purpose, I heard it from a Samoan podcaster on the church broadcast, and he says, how do you know when you have a purpose? Is when you do it for free. When you will do it and you will not expect any payment in return. That's how you know you have a purpose. That's how you know you have a calling. When everybody was like, I don't have time for something like that, but you're the one that's going to sit there and be like, you know what? I'll do it for free. It'll be my pleasure. That's when you know. So I love this. He found out that this is his calling, and all he had to do to realize his purpose is to find out how to make this thing into a global franchise. So he has to materialize this idea. So when they were in what the economic analysis would call the worst economic crash in American history, I was financially tapped out. And leveraged to the max. I had to find a way to sell a few hundred franchise locations to people who wanted to start a fitness business during the recession, and it was a lot of work. So I found out that it's going to cost them $100,000 to make this business model into a sellable franchise. And I felt like someone threw the towel at me, or no, he said, it felt like somebody just threw me in the ring with Mike Tyson for 12 rounds. And so he has this great idea. He said, this is my purpose. This is my calling. I'm going to make this happen. All I got to do is make this thing work and show them that it's a successful business model, that it can work, it's economic friendly and all this stuff. And then he said, he found out it's going to cost him $100,000. He said, it felt like somebody just threw him in the ring with Mike Tyson for 12 rounds. He said, but this is my purpose. And I knew it, that in spite of all the obstacles and all the noise in the way, I had to make this happen. So here we are. The next step, guys. The next step is I had a great idea. No money to hire a franchise attorney. No money to pay the state fees or franchise the Fit Body Bootcamp. And so we decided to license it at first as a business model temporarily. My plan was to make Fit Body Bootcamp a platform for personal trainers who once offered one-on-one personal training to purchase a new business model from me and then run it inside of a 3,000 square foot storefront. So pretty much you're taking a boot camp, you're putting it into a store with minimal equipment and overhead cost. Sounds like a good idea. The problem was nearly everyone was broke. And the handful of people who had any money during that time were not about to part with it. Plus, most personal trainers didn't have the money to sign a 5-year lease with a landlord for a storefront, pay the deposit, then build out a Fit Body Bootcamp studio inside of it. Maybe this whole thing wasn't such a good idea after all. Here's another thing. Until that point, boot camps were run outdoors, parks, with cost trainers, which cost trainers nothing. All right, so they take groups out there and they run out there in the park. But I was about to ask personal trainers to invest into my brand, lease a space, build it out, and run an indoor boot camp. Right? So he's talking about challenges here in his idea, right? So Bedros offered what he thought was a positive part. He said, in the fall and winter months, most outdoor boot camps get screwed by the weather. So if you could show the fitness industry that my boot camp business model idea was better because it was weatherproof and systematized in every way, right? Systematized. Systematized in every way. There goes our second word. Systematized. All right, let's see what we got. So here goes another word that I did not know. And I'm sharing it with you now because I'm here to improve ourselves. All right, so systematized. I heard this word, I think somebody mispronounced it when they said it. But systematized. So pretty much what that means is that it is arranged in accord with a definite plan or scheme. Right? So it was made to fit a program. It was made to fit a plan. Right? It wasn't just a we're still on. All right. All right, systematized is not just a random idea. What he's saying is that systematized means that it is according to a plan. I don't know what I just did, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and do another sound check. Hello. Okay, I don't know what I did, but apparently we're still on, so thank God for that. I would have had to start another one. Anyways, so systematized means that he was trying to prove that his idea would fit a plan, right? So if I could show the fitness industry that my bootcamp business model idea was better because it was weatherproof and systematized in every way and help their clients get better at and lasting results, I was betting that they'd jump on board. All right. So he's already had experience running boot camps, and if he could solve the space issue, which he knew that would be something, having enough space, and showing the industry that it was a legitimate business model, Fit Body Boot Camp would have a chance. And so we went ahead and tested all this out. We wanted to test the indoor boot camp model ourselves, and so we had another challenge of what would be the right place to set up these things again. They had no money, so they had to become creative. Right, so just to make sure that we were on the right track before we rolled it out to the industry, that's when we got resourceful. Right, it says so you have to use some kind of space. So they had to get creative here and figure out what to do. Right, so what spaces could we use to prove this concept? Karate gyms, dance studios, gymnastic centers, they're all indoors. They rarely used in the morning, and the difference between gymnastic centers and the other two was important, and that was the floor. The floor was what was important. Karate gyms have carpet over concrete. Dance studios had hardwood floors, which are great for dancing but not for exercising. Gymnastic centers, on the other hand, have special carpeted bonded foam flooring that's an 1.5 inch thick, which allows you to bounce around, lay down, and even run on it. And so he says that was the answer. We tested it. But the gymnastic center offered them a small amount of money to use the space in the mornings, and they went from month to month. We buy our own equipment and leave it in a small plastic storage box or storage boxes, and we find clients from local areas to test out the workouts, equipment, and the indoor factor, and it worked. It was a cobbled together solution. It was a cobbled together solution, and at least in the beginning, but it was enough to prove the point to grow the model. I started licensing business models. I started licensing the business model to personal trainers, and I encouraged them to find local gymnastic centers, offer a small amount of money for rent and the facilities in the mornings to run the Fit Body Bootcamp workouts. Our first 67 licensed locations all operated out of these gym centers. Wow. So definitely proven, right? So it was usually empty between the hours of 5 and 11 a.m. peak times that we could run our workout sessions. This model was a smash success with very little startup cost. Personal trainers were making money, and thousands of dollars in licensing fees started rolling in each month, which were in the black. So they were still making money on top of paying their fees. I could have waited for the economy to improve better before starting the Fit Body Bootcamp. I could have waited until we had enough money to come out of the gates as a franchise. I could have waited until we could afford the lease to lease out an actual commercial storefront rather than starting out in the gymnastic center. But if I had waited, we'd probably still be waiting around for Fit Body Bootcamp to hit the scene. Not having money and having to be creative at a time when everyone around us was losing money and tightening their purse strings turned out to be the advantage we needed to dominate. That's huge. I've since learned that when everyone else is contracting, you should be expanding. That it will give you the competitive advantage. Right now, guys, is definitely the time. If you're in a competitive industry, get out there, man. Get out there and lose while other people are holding back. All right. So it says, what an awesome story, right? So he starts off this idea of, okay, we sharing the challenges here, things that he had to do, some loopholes he had to figure out. Not loopholes, he had to get creative and figure out how it's going to work, how he's going to make this gym thing happen. So he says here, it won't come wrapped in a bow. It's not going to be gifted to you. The reason why I'm sharing the origin of the Fit Body Boot Camp, the story of my purpose and my vision, is to show you that they won't always come to you in a tidy way or at the right time. My purpose and vision couldn't have come at a worse time. But opportunity shows up at your door when you're least ready for it. At least, as much as you want things to happen on your time and on your terms, the truth is, you don't just know when opportunity is going to strike. And you have to be ready to act on it when it does. It's for this reason that decisiveness and speed of implementation give you the prepared leader of distinctive edge. Another truth for entrepreneurs is this: your purpose might be connected to solving problems or pain. But that often means that you have to experience pain or a problem yourself to solve others. It's how you know you're onto something when you're able to fix other people's problems. In my case, I can see it. I can see it right away. My bank balance was dropping because consulting clients were losing business. So the first thing to go was me, for obvious reasons. But the solution that came to me was not so obvious, one that ended up becoming 100 times more profitable. Would I have come to the idea by sitting lotus in a garden with waterfalls around me and birds chirping? No way. There's a great line from the former President Andrew Jackson. He said, "I was born for a storm. The calm does not suit me." I've always thought he was talking about me and entrepreneurs that I know. The best of them are the kinds of people who thrive when times are worse. The broader point is this: you'll get told by other people, think about your passion. You will be advised by other people, meditate on your purpose. You get sold on the idea that your vision will just come to you, that it's about attracting your purpose. I'm going to go out on a limb and just suggest that the number of people who have truly tried that, it's happened far less than the number of people who go around talking about such experiences. In my case, the successful business owners and empire builders that I know came to their big ideas because of pain. By taking action and being obsessively locked on the idea of making it happen no matter the situation. The most successful entrepreneurs that I know simply took imperfect action rather than waiting for the perfect time. Oh man, I love that. We're about to finish up this chapter, and I just want to take a second. The most successful entrepreneurs that I know simply took imperfect action rather than waiting for the perfect time. I read this one time and I tweeted it out. Don't let your imperfections keep you from doing what's on your heart. When you, and this is talking to myself right now because of what I'm going through. I'm in this, you might say phase, but I'm in this time of my life where I'm questioning so much of things that I learned growing up. Not that I'm denying it, but definitely I want to put myself out to start asking questions and see what the responses are from people. And there's some good and there's some bad, and that's okay. I'm a very open-minded person. I like to talk to people about anything. I'm not closed off to people that don't agree with me on certain topics. I'm not at all. I'm all about conversation and hearing out other people and their thoughts on things. In fact, I encourage conversation like that. You gotta have conversations like that. You can't just keep it, what is that word? Politically correct. Well, let's not talk about this because they might get offended. No, let's talk about it. There's nothing wrong with that. Have good conversations, guys. You gotta have, you don't have to wait to be perfect to start that conversation either. Which is why I love what he says here. The most successful entrepreneurs I know simply took imperfect action rather than waiting for the perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect time for you to start that conversation or make that move in that business or start the business. There's never going to be a perfect time. So if you're the type of person who says, let's wait for the right time. I need the stars to align. I need the plans to line up. I need everything going perfect for me to make that decision. No. Start off with what you got. Start off now. I started this podcast with Zoom and the cheap little $10 microphone that I found on my phone. I started upgrading things little by little, because of the vision that I have, and I love doing what I do now. And I do it to start conversation, have people question things. My encouragement for people is to question everything. Don't just take it just because that's what they gave to you. Or don't just accept information because it was put in a textbook. Question the origins of it all. And I love that he says here, take imperfect action. Yeah, you're going to mess up. You're not going to do it right. You're going to upset people. You're going to ruffle some feathers. But even the Bible talks about when an angel came down and disturbed the waters. And that's where people found their healing, in that fountain. Read about that fountain on the sheep gates. So don't worry about being perfect, y'all. Just make a move. So reading on, he said they did not look for their purpose. They worked at something until they developed their purpose. Real entrepreneurs are forged in fire through experience, through pain, trial, and error. I love that. Real entrepreneurs are forged in fire. They go through experience, pain, trial, and error. It's all about getting better. When you mess up, it's all right. It's all about getting better. When you say the wrong thing, it's all about getting better. You gotta go through that fire. Or just sit back and do nothing. Mean nothing. Make no impact. It's up to you. Usually there was a small crisis that led them to a response. Again, react and respond. And out of that came a business, a vision, or a purpose was born. Amazing. That's it for our chapter, guys. Let's finish it off with our exercises for every chapter we do. Exercise today, chapter 11, coming out of a crisis. He says, one of the best indicators of entrepreneurial success is resiliency. Your ability to stay calm and in control under pressure is critical to surviving and thriving in uncertain times. Think about the last time that you had a SHIT hits the fan moment in your business or with your finances. Then step outside of yourself and ask, if so-and-so were here, this guy used the name Elon Musk, and I don't like Elon Musk. He's a big time liar. So I'm not going to give him any more credit than I already said his name twice. I'm not going to use that name. But if so-and-so over here, insert successful entrepreneur or anyone that you value, anyone that you look up to. If so-and-so were here and we're thinking about how to solve this, what would he do? What would he make? What would he build? How would he come out a winner in this situation? And then the exercise is to write down a few ideas, no matter how outlandish they are, and see how they compare to how you respond. What a chapter, guys. Very packed chapter. We did a lot of it was reading. We were at 45 minutes. Again, coming out of a crisis. I want to encourage you here today, man. Just God is so awesome. Praise Yahweh and His Word, and His Son Yeshua. Thank Him for the encouragement that we get out of His Word. And I just want to encourage you today. If you are going through a crisis, you have two choices. You can respond or react. React is the negative one. Okay. If you get anything out of this chapter, you can react when you're in a crisis, or you can respond. Respond means you're responding the right way. You're responding with maturity, with experience, with poise, right? You want to respond and do it timely, right? Don't let too much time go into it. All right, so we talked about having, being decisive. That was one of the chapters that we read in this book, a few chapters back. Having, being decisive, meaning making a decision to fix things and not just letting things settle. All right, but if you are in a crisis, man, I just want to let you know that you have an awesome God who cares about you. You have awesome people around you that, the answers for you are there. The answers for you are there. You just got to ask around, put it out there. Right? It's all right to not be perfect. I'm pretty sure that people that love you want to help you get past that crisis. So if you can't figure out the answer, turn to God and turn to your fellow brothers and sisters. Find out who can help you out. If not, hit me up. I'm always here for you. Anyways, this is David Meni from the Big Money Meni book Club. Thank you guys for staying along and reading along this awesome book. We're almost done, guys. Looking forward to what else we're going to get into. Also, I have some truth series that I'm going to start here. So I look forward to doing that. Look forward to sharing a bunch of information with you guys that I feel that should be questioned. All right. And for those of you who are new, hit me up on social media. I'm on TikTok, not so much. I don't really use TikTok much. Mainly Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. They'll be the main ones. But this encouragement is for y'all to start reading, to start empowering yourself, self-development, and it'll really help you. It'll take you a long way. And just know that God has all the answers. And that's pretty much it. That's all we got for you guys. God bless you all. Love y'all. And stay blessed. Enjoy our little outro here. Let's enjoy this music. Peace and blessings, y'all.